The invisible hamster wheel, breaking free from systems not built for you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to begin by sharing something extraordinary with you. Recently, I had the profound privilege of interviewing Nichelle Bowes, a revolutionary force in the professional world whose insights have transformed how countless Black professionals navigate systems that were never designed with them in mind. Nichelle isn't just a leader, she's a visionary architect creating new blueprints for authentic success in spaces that historically haven't welcomed difference. What makes Nichelle's work so groundbreaking is her courage to name what many feel but few articulate, that the very ladders we're climbing, the metrics we're measured by, and the success we're chasing are often part of systems that were never built to accommodate our full humanity. Her journey, forged through both triumph and profound personal challenge, offers us a radical new framework for understanding what true freedom and fulfillment might look like in our professional lives. Think about this for a moment. Sometimes the very systems and environments that we work so hard to succeed in were never designed for us. And true freedom and fulfillment come when we step off the relentless hamster wheel of external validation. Let that sink in. How many of us spend our lives running faster and faster on a wheel that was built by someone else for someone else? How many of us have contorted ourselves, minimized our voices, hidden parts of our identity, all to fit into spaces that were never designed to celebrate our full humanity? For many Black professionals, especially Black women like Nichelle, success has traditionally meant adapting to structures that don't acknowledge their unique strengths or lived experiences. The rules of the game were written without them in mind. The metrics for success were established without their input. The paths to advancement were carved without consideration for their perspectives. But here's where Nichelle's story takes a powerful turn. After experiencing a life changing concussion, a moment that forced a complete pause in her relentless pursuit of success by external standards, she came to a realization that would transform her approach to her career and life. She discovered that thriving isn't about pushing harder within those constraints. It's about redefining what winning looks like on your own terms. This insight fundamentally challenges everything we've been taught about success in our society. We're told that if we just work harder, if we just conform more, if we just play by the rules, even rules that weren't made for us, will eventually succeed. But what if that's fundamentally flawed? What if true success requires us to question the very structures we're trying to succeed within? Let me share three key insights from my conversation with Nichelle that illuminate this counterintuitive approach to success. First, embracing authenticity is a radical act. When you bring your full self into professional spaces, even if those spaces weren't designed for you, you create opportunities for innovation and genuine leadership. This isn't just about personal fulfillment, it's about transforming those spaces for everyone who comes after you. Every time you refuse to shrink yourself to fit someone else's expectations, you expand the possibilities for others. Second, prioritizing mental health and personal growth isn't selfish, it's essential. The most effective leaders today are those who foster supportive environments, invest in their well being, and model balance for others. In a world that often celebrates burnout as a badge of honor, choosing sustainability is revolutionary. When Nichelle experienced her concussion, it forced her to reevaluate everything. What emerged was a deeper understanding that our capacity to lead, to innovate, to transform, it all depends on our willingness to honor our whole selves, including our need for rest, renewal, and authentic connection. And third, building community amplifies impact. By forging connections across communities of color and holding each other accountable for equity driven change, we can drive meaningful shifts at every level, from individual careers to systemic policy. Nichelle's work shows us that we don't have to navigate these systems alone. And in fact, our collective power is what ultimately transforms the systems themselves. These insights might sound simple, but they represent a fundamental shift in how we think about success, especially for those navigating spaces not built with them in mind. Let me illustrate this with some real world examples that bring these principles to life. Consider what happened at Meta, formerly Facebook. Following the racial justice movement of 2020, Meta launched high profile diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives with great fanfare. They made public commitments, hired diverse talent, and created employee resource groups. From the outside, it looked like progress, like the system was finally changing to make room for everyone. But what happened when political pressure mounted? When legal scrutiny intensified? Meta dramatically scaled back these DEI programs. As these formal structures disappeared, Black professionals at the company faced increased job insecurity and representation losses. The very people who had been recruited with promises of inclusion suddenly found themselves vulnerable, their positions precarious, their voices once again marginalized. This story reveals something profound about the nature of institutional change. Progress that depends entirely on the goodwill of institutions designed to maintain existing power structures will always be fragile. But it also reveals something powerful about human resilience and creativity. Some employees at Meta responded by forming grassroots support networks internally while seeking external mentorship through affinity groups. They created their own structures of support when the official ones disappeared. They redefined what success looked like in that environment, not by the company shifting metrics, but by their own standards of community, support, and authentic contribution. This example underscores why sustainable change must go beyond performative gestures. It highlights the need for resilient networks among Black professionals when institutions falter. And it demonstrates exactly what Nichelle was talking about, finding ways to thrive authentically, even in spaces not built with you in mind. But there are also more hopeful examples of what's possible when we create spaces specifically designed for authentic leadership and community building. The A Leaders of Color Summit convenes educational leaders from diverse backgrounds nationwide with a focus on cross cultural leadership practices. Participants often struggle with isolation as they rise through ranks where few peers look like them or share similar experiences. A common challenge Nichelle identified in our conversation. Imagine being the only Black principal in your district or the only Latina superintendent in your state. The weight of representation, the pressure to succeed, not just for yourself, but for everyone who looks like you, the constant code switching and emotional labor, it's exhausting. It's like running a marathon while everyone else is running a sprint. The summit provides practical strategies for weaving lived experience into leadership approaches while also building lasting cross-cultural coalitions committed to equity-driven policy shifts. Attendees leave equipped with actionable tools and, more importantly, a powerful network dedicated to accountability and mutual upliftment. This summit was created after recognizing persistent gaps in representation among top education leaders. Four major organizations came together to co create this event specifically tailored by and for people of color. They've launched an annual summit attended by hundreds and cultivated new regional partnerships focused on equity initiatives within schools and districts nationwide. By fostering deep relationships across communities rather than just within demographic silos, this summit models how collective advocacy accelerates systemic change. It's a powerful example of what happens when we stop trying to succeed within systems not built for us and instead create new systems that honor our full humanity and potential. Another inspiring example comes from the African American Leadership Institute in Austin. At their annual Black X conference, Ali brings together entrepreneurs and business professionals focused on empowerment through legacy building initiatives. Many attendees face barriers accessing capital or mentorship due both to systemic bias and lack of intergenerational wealth transfer, common among other demographics. The conference responds by connecting participants with mentors and investors while offering immersive workshops that build practical skills around wealth creation and business development rooted in cultural pride. The results speak for themselves. Alumni report stronger professional networks plus measurable increases in business launches and funding secured after participating in the conference. One participant secured $2 million in funding for her tech startup after connecting with an investor at the conference. Another launched a community development initiative that has created affordable housing for over 200 families. These aren't just individual success stories. They represent a fundamental shift in how resources and opportunities are distributed. This institute was founded after local data revealed persistent racial gaps despite Austin's overall economic boom. The organizers set out intentionally centering Black voices and perspectives within entrepreneurial ecosystems. They've hosted multi year conferences featuring nationally recognized speakers and grown an alumni network now driving their own ventures and community projects. What's particularly powerful about this example is how it demonstrates that intentional investment in both people and place produces ripple effects benefiting entire regions economically and socially. It shows that when we create spaces that honor our full humanity, everyone benefits. These examples illuminate what Nichelle discovered through her own journey, that thriving isn't about pushing harder within constraints. It's about redefining what winning looks like on your own terms and finding ways to thrive authentically, even in spaces not built with you in mind. This insight has profound implications, not just for Black professionals, but for anyone who has ever felt that the systems they're operating within don't fully recognize their humanity or potential. It challenges us to question the very nature of success and to consider whether the metrics we're using to measure our worth are actually serving us. What would happen if we stopped measuring our success by someone else's yardstick? What if we define success not by titles or salaries or external validation, but by authenticity, community impact, and personal fulfillment? This isn't about giving up or lowering our ambitions. It's about reclaiming our power to define what success means for us is. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most revolutionary act is to step off the hamster wheel entirely and chart our own path. As Nichelle's journey shows us, this often requires a catalyst. In her case, a life changing concussion that forced her to reevaluate everything. But we don't have to wait for a crisis to make this shift. We can choose today to begin redefining success on our own terms. So I leave you with this challenge. What invisible hamster wheel are you running on right now? What systems are you trying to succeed within that were never designed for someone like you? And most importantly, what would it look like if you had the courage to step off of that wheel and create something new? This isn't just a personal question, it's a collective one. Because when enough of us refuse to measure our worth by systems not built for us, When enough of us create new metrics, new pathways, new possibilities, that's when transformation happens. That's when we don't just change our own lives, but we change the world. The revolution begins with this radical act, defining success for yourself, bringing your full humanity into spaces that may not expect it, and building communities that sustain this vision. This is the legacy that visionaries like Nichelle Bowes are creating, and it's an invitation for each of us to do the same. The hamster wheel was never the only option. Step off, breathe deeply, and build something better, not just for yourself, but for all those who will follow in your footsteps. Thank you.